This is Government Unfiltered. I'm Dan Williams. This podcast is a reading of the December 22nd, 2022 final report from the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. Chapter 6. Be There, Will Be Wild. 6.4. Trump said it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. As the Proud Boys began their plans for January 6th, Kelly Meggs, the leader of the Florida chapter of the Oath Keepers, reached out. In the past, the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers had their differences, deriding each other's tactics and ethos during the summer 2020 protests. But President Trump's tweet on December 19th conveyed a sense of urgency which provided the two extremist rivals the opportunity to work together for a common goal. After President Trump's tweet, Meggs called Enrique Tarrio. They spoke for 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Meggs also sent a message on Facebook, bragging about an alliance he had formed among the Oath Keepers, the Florida 3%ers, and the Proud Boys. We have decided to work together and shut this shit down. The Oath Keepers were making plans of their own, too. Oath Keepers President, Rhodes, is pretty disheartened, Roberto Minuta, one of Rhodes' men, messaged someone on December 19th. He feels like it's go time. The time for peaceful protest is over in his eyes. I was talking with him last night. Minuta has been charged with seditious conspiracy and other crimes. In the days that followed, the Oath Keepers planned for violence. They used encrypted chats on Signal to discuss travel plans, trade tips on tactical equipment to bring, and develop their plans for once they were on the ground in the D.C. area. On December 21st, 2020, Joshua James messaged the group, stating, Southeast Region is creating a national call to action for D.C., Jan 6th. 4 states are mobilizing. Meggs, Rhodes, and others created several different chat groups to coordinate for January 6th. On December 22nd, Meggs echoed President Trump's tweet in a Facebook message to someone else. Trump said it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. He wants us to make it wild. That's what he's saying. He called us all to the Capitol and wants us to make it wild. Sir, yes, sir. Gentlemen, we are heading to D.C. Pack your shit. Meggs also wrote that the Oath Keepers would have 50 to 100 members in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. The Oath Keepers hosted periodic group video meetings to discuss plans for January 6th. Richard Dockery, a former Oath Keepers member, testified to the Select Committee about a video call that took place around December 31st and related specifically to planning for January 6th. During the call, Oath Keepers leadership announced plans to provide security for far-right celebrities like Roger Stone. If there were any problems while they were providing security, there was a quick reaction force in Virginia that would come help them out, and that they would have firearms. Rhodes announced during an episode of InfoWars in November 2020 that the Oath Keepers had established a Quick Reaction Force, QRF, outside of Washington, D.C. After President Trump announced the wild protest, the group's advanced coordination largely focused on planning related to their QRF, as well as the various security details for VIPs and stage areas on January 5th and 6th. Oath Keepers from North Carolina, Florida, South Carolina, and Arizona converged on the Comfort Inn in Ballston, Virginia, and used the location to store their cache of weapons for January 6th. Oath Keepers leaders communicated actively about the QRF for January 6th. Rhodes and another contingent of Oath Keepers stayed at the Hilton Garden Inn in Vienna, Virginia, and stored weapons there as well. Rhodes amassed an arsenal of military-grade assault weapons and equipment in the days leading up to January 6th. On December 30th, Rhodes spent approximately $7,000 on 2 night vision devices and a weapon sight and shipped them to Marcia Lessard, a rally organizer who lived near Washington, D.C., and who had previously been in contact with the organizers of the Ellipse Rally. On January 1st and 2nd, Rhodes purchased additional weapons and accessories at a cost of approximately $5,000. The following day, January 3rd, Rhodes and Kelly Sorrell departed Texas for Washington, D.C. While traveling, Rhodes spent an additional $6,000 on an AR-style rifle and firearms attachments. Making one final shopping trip in Mississippi, Rhodes purchased $4,500 of firearms equipment, including more sights, magazines, and weapons parts on January 4th. On the morning of January 6th, with weapons stockpiled, Rhodes messaged the signal group of Oath Keepers leaders. "We have several well-equipped QRFs outside D.C., and there are many, many others from other groups who will be watching and waiting on the outside in case of worst-case scenarios." Episodes of Government Unfiltered are created based on the value-for-value model. I create the episodes, and you can decide what it's worth to you. If you prefer to listen through the full chapters rather than the individual chapters, supporters at patreon.com/timberlanemedia get exclusive access once they're completed. Thank you to associate producer Jay Bernhard and all of the insiders who provide support there. You can also support the effort at governmentunfiltered.com by clicking the support button for a one-time donation. And you can click the contact button and ask for an address if you'd prefer to mail a check. Follow the show on Twitter at govunfiltered or on Facebook at facebook.com/governmentunfiltered. Thank you for listening.